Grandma.
I call my grandmother Gia.
I call her Suki.
Grandma.
Yeah, Grandma.
Grandma.
Nana. I think she thinks that like Granny is like kind of cute. Like I think that's her like Jenny from the Block like upgrade on Grandma.
So only my sister and I call my grandmother Gia.
It was like a Suki now, you know, so she's Suki to everybody.
Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart.
I haven't really heard her talk much about her life and her experience.
She instilled like mannerisms and being very poised and always putting your best foot forward.
Because my grandmother is really sure about who she is. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Grandmother Project presents Pearls and Pocketbooks, our monthly interactive webinar experience featuring Black grandmothers and granddaughters discussing love, life, and everything in between. I am Melanie Brezill, and I am the creator of the Grandmother Project, an original 9-episode docuseries which you just watched the trailer for, now available on YouTube. Simply go to youtube.com/The Grandmother Project and click subscribe. The link will be in the chat. Thank you to everyone who celebrated Grandparents' Day with us last month for our pop-up Best of episode. We had a blast revisiting some of our favorite moments with our biggest fans. And I don't know about you, but we are still talking about episode 7, Showtime, when we sat down with Ife Butler and Felicia Fields, 2 Black grandmothers who are stars of the Chicago theater scene and abroad. They are proof that Black grandmothers can do anything. So speaking of powerful Black women, tonight we are chatting one-on-one with a woman who has grandmothered many of Chicago's film industry professionals of color. It is our pleasure to bring you Pearls and Pocketbooks, episode 8, Nurture. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to this evening's guest. Margaret Caples is the executive director of the Community Film Workshop and a graduate of its first film class. She has an MSW from the University of Chicago Crown Family School of Social Work. She married the late photographer and filmmaker Jim Taylor, who became the director of the Community Film Workshop of Chicago. She has over 30 years of experience developing media education programs, working with teens, teachers, and filmmakers. Ms. Caples is the co-founder of Diverse Voices in Docs in association with Kartemquin Films, and is also the developer and program director of the Production Institute at the Logan Family Foundation Media Center at the University of Chicago. Ms. Caples is an active participant in the media arts community. Nationally, she served on the board of the National Alliance of Media Arts and Culture, NAMIC. Locally, she served as a partner on numerous groups, such as the Inglewood Cultural Planning Council and the board of Can TV. She is a board member emeritus at Kartemquin Films. Ms. Caples was profiled in the documentary Women of Vision, 20 Histories of Feminist Film and Video by Alex Yuhas. In 2017, Ms. Caples was the recipient of the Gene Siskel Film Center Legacy Award and was listed in New City Magazine's Film 50 list. I had the pleasure of getting to know Ms. Caples this summer as a member of the 2021 Digital Storytelling Institute Cohort, an experience that truly helped me grow as a storyteller. So it is my extreme honor and pleasure to introduce you to Ms. Margaret Caples. Ms. Caples, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
We'll have you. Yes, good to see your face.
Good seeing you. Good seeing you.
Thank you so much for joining me. It has been, I'm so glad that our paths crossed this summer, and it's so good to see you. How have you been?
I've been excellent, and it's really been a pleasure. And thank you for the treat and the honors that you and the cohorts did for the group. I enjoyed the party and the recognition. And it was just such a joy to have you in the class. And now you're interviewing me.
That's right. I'm putting those skills to good use.
Okay,
And
good.
so, let's go ahead and get started. So, as we heard from your bio, you are now a fixture in the Chicago film community, especially on the South Side. I know you are. And I know that your journey did not begin in Chicago or even in film for that matter. So can you kind of tell us about your background before coming to Chicago and what your dream was for yourself at that time?
Well, basically, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I have a bachelor's in sociology. I went to a historical Black college, Lemoyne-Owen. And I was, right before I came to Chicago, I was employed at the Tennessee Department of Public Welfare. And at the time, I was in the food stamp department, and we were certifying sanitation workers who were on strike. So it was during the era right before the assassination of Dr. King. My roommate and I lived not too far from Mason Temple, is where they had all of their meetings, and we participated in a march. And at the first meeting that Dr. King was there. So in the last meeting, the week prior to that, we had a snowstorm, which is unusual. And then the following week, when he came to Memphis, we had a tornado warning. So I had gone out to my parents' home, and then I came home and I said, well, I'm not going to be able to get into Mason Temple. So I didn't go. And the next night, my roommate told me about the meeting and how Dr. Abernathy had sort of did a eulogy and about the whole mood of the program. And that's when he did the I Have a Dream speech. And so we left home, and by the time we got to the corner, we heard that he had been shot. So I knew that was bad news. I went to my mom's, and when I got there, by the time I got there, they had closed down the city. So we did participate in the march after the assassination. And she went on to Atlanta. We had met a young man who was from Chicago, and he was down there sort of covering the sanitation strike. And so shortly after that, one of our instructors at Lemoyne-Owen, who was a graduate of University of Chicago, she was back in Chicago. She called me and said, okay, they're coming down to Memphis to interview some people at Lemoyne-Owen about graduate school. Well, I had already applied for graduate school, and I had been rejected at the University of Tennessee. And my roommate had also been rejected. They made us take an intelligence test. Thank you, Jesus. But anyway, oh yeah, honey. And so she said, I failed. So she asked the lady, well, how did I do? She said, oh, you did excellent. Well, that was a way of getting rid of not having us go to that particular school. I had been accepted at Atlanta University, but they weren't offering any money. So we got a scholarship to come to Chicago. And that's how I got to Chicago in 1968. And I met my husband. I was introduced to Jim through Bob. And the second day I was there, and it's really changed my life. That's how I got involved in photography, because he was a photographer. And when he became director of the new community film workshop, then I was working as a school social worker in Inglewood. And I wanted to use video with my groups. I felt that I could see more young people if I had them in groups. And at that time, it was very bulky, and you had to go to the district office and everything. But I went through all of that. And so I went through that first program, and that's been my evolution into the community film workshop.
Wow. So, it's amazing to me that many of these events that we read about, we've all heard about the mountaintop speech at Mason Temple, and that you were there, and to come out of that time and to move to the big city of Chicago, I know that was not necessarily an easy thing. And then to meet, your husband who was into photography. What were your thoughts about that? I mean, was that What were your thoughts when you met your husband and you
Well,
found out
I met him as
filming?
Jim Taylor, the photographer.
Okay.
There was, Jim and I were a May-December couple. So I really, I really wasn't enthusiastic about it. My roommate said, Jim wants to double date, so you be nice. So I said, oh, okay. I didn't look at the man. I really didn't pay him much attention until we were talking. We were over to his friends and they were talking about their daughter. So I said, well, how old is your daughter? And she said, 24. So I said, what? Looked around at him. I said, this man is old. Jim teased me for ages about how when I got to my house, I shook his hand. They always tease the girls from the South about, but anyway, I shook his hand and said, it's been nice knowing you. But anyway, so it took a while. We didn't get married until 1973.
Wow. So we've got a picture here. We've got your husband. And I don't know, now, do you remember when you took this picture?
You know what? We were, at that time, we were in our space on Wabash.
Okay.
The workshop started originally at 441 North Clark. It was developed by the Community Film Workshop of New York with funding by the Ford Foundation, the American Film Institute, and the Office of Economic Opportunity to get minorities, in that time, quotes, Asian American, African American, Native American, and I'm missing one group, Latinos. And so we had this 16 millimeter film class because film was the way that the TV studios were using film to collect film. We're using film for news. And 16 millimeter was a choice of how to teach people to get into the union. So, but we had moved from 441 North Clark to the, which is now River North. And so we moved to 1130 South Wabash, directly behind, at that time, the police office, the main police office. And so that's where we were. We moved south. And eventually, because of gentrification, we moved again. And we moved to the south side of Chicago, first to Kennedy King College, and then in residence at the Harris Park through the Chicago Park District Arts Partnership Program.
So this community film workshop, I'm not sure about, if our viewers know, what this was. This was pretty revolutionary because this program, can you tell us about this? And I know you all are celebrating 50 years, is that right?
Yeah.
50
well,
years.
Well, basically, it was new. We were the first media arts center here in Chicago. There were other production and documentary production companies, but we were the first media arts center. And we were multicultural, although it was headed by a Black man. And so Jim trained everybody. Students would come through our program. They had to attend 10 film aesthetics classes. And if you missed one, you had to start all over. You had to pass the test and you had to be interviewed because Jim wanted to make sure that your parents or your wife or partner understood that this was a very intensive program. So you had to know that you had to really be committed to come through. And each student made 2 films. One was a voiceover and 2-minute voiceover. And the second one was a sync sound film because we were using film. So you learned how to do everything. You worked on everybody's projects. And so you learned all of the skills. And that was very key into being a well-rounded film person. And after that point, we got them internships at production houses and on sets. And so Jim was able to get a lot of people, and plus we had a electronic news gathering program for news cameramen. So he was able to get people onto film, feature length films, into television stations around the country and locally. and at production houses. So we were very instrumental in the 70s and 80s and 90s into getting people into the film industry. And Jim was a board member for IOTC. At that time, it was 666. Now it's 600, the Cameramen's Union. And so he helped a lot of people, not only people of color, but also Caucasians, because the unions had a lot of nepotism and exclusion, and it was who you knew. And they excluded a lot of people, just not Black people. But of course, we were the number one that they excluded. But he was able to help a lot of people get into the union.
You know, Ms. Caples, this is amazing because, you know, for those of you listening, this is before the internet. This is before YouTube. This is when this, and you alluded to this, it's a good old boys club, you know? Yeah. Film was not something that you could just break into. And so the fact that you and your husband were setting up these programs, you know, developing curriculums, putting cameras and equipment in the hands of everyday people that went on to become fixtures in the industry is just absolutely fantastic. It is.
Well, the thing is, we also got them jobs through the Mayor's Office of Manpower and Employment, and also before that, CETA. We were able to help them get jobs, we trained them as instructors. And so that once you really learn how to do something and then you teach other people, that makes you better. Yes. And so a lot of the graduates also worked inside the artistic community here in Chicago and other places. And some started their own film organizations or production houses. So we were very instrumental in that development. The other thing that JT did was he started a production company. It was called Cinema Video Concepts. And we used that as a platform so that the graduates could get training on key position in producing a film. And so we did commercials, and documentaries, and so they were able to gain experience, and so they would have a portfolio.
That is amazing, and it's just really thrilling to me, and that's really why, Ms. Caples, I'm thrilled to have you on the show, because this is history. This is Chicago film history. Yes. This is Black film history. It's Southside film history. You know, so you seem to have always had this heart and mind for change, especially when it comes to uplifting, you know, the Black community. What do you think in your upbringing or in you contributed to that spirit that you have?
Well, I'm the oldest of 8 children, so I've always been, I would guess, sort of a leader. I had a lot of responsibility put on me, which is what happens to a lot of the oldest girls or boys. And not only that, but I saw my parents always helping other people. Now, mind you, my parents had 8 children, but my dad was very lucky to have a union job working at Firestone, although he was in the maintenance department. But it gave him an income that other people didn't have. So even with 8 children, he was able to buy a home. And I realized how much middle class and sheltered I was when I got to Chicago. I never thought of myself that way. But then I realized how many people lived in a worse situation. But I always used them and my grandmother as role models, and the way they treated people, how they helped people, and their faith. And so that's how I think that gave me that fortitude. I really wanted to be a dietitian, but my parents couldn't afford to send me to Tuskegee. So he said I was going to be a social worker. He said, well, you're going to learn how to teach so you can get a job. So I had an elementary education background and did student teaching. And that came in very handy, because when I applied for the job at the Chicago Public School as a teacher, social worker, I already had all of my education courses, and I had done student teaching. So all I had to do was to take the Illinois Constitution government test. And I had all the qualifications, so it came in handy. My daddy knew what he's talking about.
That's right. Listen, parents know what they're talking about a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's really cool because you talked about when you were a teacher, you had the idea to use film as a teaching tool. So that's really was your first sort of experience with that. What motivated you to think outside of the box?
Well, one of the things is that you can serve more children in a group, and once they start sharing and they feel comfortable in a group, they can sort of work through solutions and try to work through their problems because then they don't feel threatened. But even more, sometimes when they see themselves and their reactions in video, it also makes an impact on them and their behavior. And I enjoyed working with children much more than I do with adults because children will, you say, well, why don't you try this way? Or what do you think about that? And they will try it out. Whereas adults, they kind of like the things that they're doing. And so they're not as easy to get motivated to change their behavior. So I was really very pleased with the fact that just being able to see yourself, the image of you, and that you can be projected in a different way. And because I didn't see the best children, I always saw the troublemakers. They referred those to the social worker. So I wasn't seeing the kids who weren't acting up. So, that in itself was different, but to show them that they're unique and they have something special in them, and they can see that also in how their behavior is being changed.
Yes. And, to that end, as I mentioned earlier in your introduction, this summer, I had the pleasure of participating in the intensive digital storytelling program, the digital storytelling cohort with the University of Chicago and the Logan Center. And it really was like crash film school, and one of the best parts of that program, Ms. Caples, was learning from Black professionals in the industry. Our lead instructor, Derek Grace and Keisha and, many industry, Rob Diggy, who does film scoring, all of these industry professionals that you all curated and brought in to instruct us. It was really powerful. And so I want to ask you, why do you think it's important for people of color to have the opportunity to learn, especially when it comes to film, from individuals that look like them?
Because they bring their history and their story. Not only their skills, of course, they have the skills, else they wouldn't be in the business and they wouldn't be successful and they wouldn't be working on these projects. But in addition to that, they have their story to tell you, how they overcame, what they had to do. And they could give you advice, although we say the same things. We tell you about being on time and what you have to do on the set protocol and everything. But when they tell you, it makes a difference.
That's right.
When they say to you, you can't have your cell phone on. And it makes a big difference in me, because then it's, tell me what to do, but when you know that could be the end of your job, it could ruin your reputation. People will look at you quite differently and not open up opportunities for you, that you have to work real hard in this business. People have to like you because you have to, filmmaking is a freelance job. You move from project to project, and people have to depend on your skills, and they have to depend on you and know that you're going to show up and you're going to do the work that you need to do.
That's right. And, that was a valuable lesson. We definitely learned, professionalism, and it comes in handy, as you said, and one of the things.
You're freezing up, but I can imagine what you're saying.
Oh, I'm frozen. Okay. You all let me know. I'm going to stop my video. Okay. Sometimes in the world of film, we have technical difficulties.
It's important because.
Am I back? If you all can let me know in the chat.
They should have their own opinion.
All right. Am I back, everyone? Let me know if you see me. Can everyone hear me or see me? Okay, I'm back. All right, Miss Caples, can you all see Miss Caples? Okay, Miss Caples, we're gonna have you rejoin. I think we've got the weather is causing we've got storms going on in Chicago, and we are broadcasting live from Chicago. So we're just gonna give Miss Caples a moment to rejoin. I hope you all are enjoying this so far. Please feel free to put questions in the chat. I see we've already got some questions in the chat. We're gonna ask as soon as Ms. Caples returns, we will ask Ms. Caples about Kartemquin films and what kind of films that they make. But we will just, we're gonna hold for this weather. Yes, we are in Chicago and it is storming as it does here. So in the meantime, I hope you all are enjoying this amazing opportunity to speak with Ms. Caples. As we mentioned, the Community Film Workshop is celebrating 50 years of bringing films to Chicago's South Side, of training the next generation of filmmakers, everyday people in the community who are telling our stories. And so this is why it is just so important that you all out there know the name Margaret Caples, because she is a fixture in the community and is responsible for creating so many opportunities for the people that are working in the industry today. So we're gonna give Ms. Caples, stay with us. Okay, we're back. Okay, we're gonna have,
one of the things I was saying is that one of the important things that happened in the Production Institute is that you all learned the value of collaborating, being responsible to each other as crew, and how you work together and how you came together in terms of helping each other with your log lines, with your stories, when you were in the chat rooms together. It was just, and that's an important thing to learn, because a filmmaker just can't make a film by themselves. It's a collaborative process. And so you have to be able to work well with people. And I just felt so good at the level and the intensity of the involvement of this group of cohorts. In fact, you all changed your names to cohorts.
Yes, we did.
I thought that was so cute because you all fell in love with each other.
Yes, and for all of you out there that might just be tuning in, we're referring to the Digital Storytelling Institute cohort, which Ms. Caples shaped that curriculum. It's really sort of provided the model for this program, an intensive program that I was a part of this summer. Definitely one of the most difficult things that I've ever done, but rewarding. And I have made relationships that I know will be lifelong professionally, and we're still in touch collaborating. And so to that end, Ms. Caples, one thing that I thought was really powerful about the requirements for the cohort this year was that you were looking for people that were from the South Side. And so we had these South Side filmmakers, and Chicago gets a bad rep, right? We are always in the news for, the crime and things that we would much rather not talk about. But I know the South Side is a wonderful place, right? And so why was it important for you to create opportunities for South Side filmmakers?
Well, that wasn't my decision. That was the decision of the University of Chicago.
Okay, just to clarify.
And it was an important decision for the university and for the community, because they have made an investment in the South Side of Chicago, because that's their target area. They sit in this community, and they have a community program that involves a lot of arts organizations. And so the production program was set up through an endowment from the Jonathan Logan Family Foundation. And the mission was to really help South Side filmmakers to develop South Side stories. It's not, and so we do have a residential requirement that you have to be from the South Side of Chicago.
Yes, and I think that that's so powerful. We got
it's important. It's so very important.
It is. Yes. It's important to get these cameras in the hands of people that, have a love for the community. Yes. And so, I know that it's not always easy, right? When you're trailblazing, and you have trailblazed in so many ways, carrying on, your husband's legacy and with the work that you all created together. What do you think has been your greatest obstacle in your work to create these opportunities?
It has been, the greatest obstacle is lack of funding. And we have to say that because most of the money, art money in Chicago has always traveled to the north side of Chicago. So that all of the, I would say 90% of the Black organizations are always underfunded. And although we do great work prior to this year, it was not recognized. It was recognized in the fact that people would replicate our programs. They would hire, yes, and the foundations would fund the major white organizations, and they would, give you a little grant to do a program and take it, but we were doing all of the hard work and not getting funded. So this year, and I think maybe even it might have started last year, but this year particularly, the foundations have merged together to support organizations of color headed by people of color that serve people of color, and have awarded us funding. And this has been one of the most unique and helpful things that have happened to the South Side. There's several groups, and we were very fortunate and blessed to have received a grant from the Chicago Cultural Treasures. It's a $140,000 grant. It's over a 3-year period. Yes, I can move up from paying myself, working more than full time at minimum wage. Because that's basically what it was. And many years I wasn't paying myself at all. So, and that happens a lot, and you use your own resources. But in addition to that, we received another very powerful grant from the Field Foundation of $50,000. But I have to also say that the Driehaus Foundation has supported us for many years. And so we have had programs that have been very supportive. The Illinois Arts Council and the Department of Cultural Affairs have been long-term funders also.
That's awesome. And, as you said, to be able to create art and to bring these stories, it's a labor of love.
Yes, it is.
Many times you're working and you're not necessarily getting paid. You're using your own funds. You're spending hours. You don't have a 9-to-5 schedule. This stuff takes, and so I think that I'm glad that you pointed that out, and I know that you and your husband, I'm sure, spent countless hours working on things, and like you said, not paying yourself. And
well, that was one of the reasons my husband had to work work on movies. We had, when you're not paying yourself, somebody gotta have a job.
That's right. We have to take those jobs.
When I left my job at the I took a sabbatical from the Board of Education, and when I came back, my husband said, "Well, since you're not doing anything, come on down here and help me." Well, I wouldn't advise any wife to go down and help their husband out, but I did. And I ended up staying there. But it has been, and I shared his vision for the work he was doing. But he did work on movies because we had to survive. And then it enabled us to help the workshop and to help people. We didn't have children. And so we invested, and that's another thing about founders and Black and people of color who have organizations, is they really do build into and nurture their constituents, the people in their community, and people, and you do it out of love because you've helped people and you've changed lives. But we also have an obligation to give back. And that's something that I'm hopefully, as we celebrate our 50th year, I will be able to do something with this money in terms of connecting all of our different communities, the filmmakers that we've helped, all of our alumni, and the youth programs that we've done, and do some of the work in terms of marketing the program. People say, well, we haven't heard about you. Well, we never had any money. We never had a marketing budget.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people always want, oh no, we had a marketing budget. I said, we're not even paying ourselves. How do you have a marketing budget? But people ask you a lot of crazy questions when you found this foundation people. They don't ask people with money there.
But
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be so honest.
No, this is good.
They don't know why you haven't done something. Well, you're looking at the budget.
Exactly. Listen, I understand as somebody who is that's right. And when you're building your own things, people don't necessarily understand. Sometimes it's a very small operation, bare bones.
Yes,
you're working and you're wearing many hats. And
I have to say one thing, and I don't want to neglect to mention this, but the Chicago Park District and when I had my residency at the Kennedy King College, it was really a lifesaver. And what I often tell people is that, God's planning is good and his timing is the best, because one of the things that really, I think, insulated us was that we were small. That there are other organizations that were larger, had larger budgets, but they didn't survive. And even during this pandemic, a lot of people have had to not be able to continue. And it's because of they couldn't support the structure and the people and all of the activities they've gotten into. And so I've always believed in partnerships. I've always tried to build partnerships so that we could work with groups and share the programming. And that has been very important to me. And it's always been important to me that I hired Black artists and gave them an opportunity to share their talents. And that's one of the reasons with the Production Institute, all of the artists, mostly, we not all of them, but most of them, the majority have been Black artists. And it's because they need, and they were happy. They were so important. They were so happy to do it because nobody asked them, as talented as they are. And so they were just happy to be able to offer that service. It's just been so wonderful to be able to forge this community that we have on the South Side. And that's basically what we've done over the 3 years. We really have forged a community of color of filmmakers, and that's what we want to do. And so that's another thing that's going to this new funding will allow us to do, is to look at how we can support future projects beyond the Production Institute.
Yes,
by providing equipment and access,
which is two very important things, because just getting your hands on the equipment, that's the biggest. A lot of times, these things are happening in the industry, and if you've never touched the camera, you don't know how to set up a tripod, you're already coming in behind, even though you might have the talent, you just maybe haven't had the access. So I thought that was something very powerful. Being a participant myself, was I got to actually see and touch equipment. I thought I knew what a tripod was until I used an industry standard tripod and said, oh, this isn't a tripod you can buy at Target. This is a real tripod. So, I got a couple fun questions for you.
Okay.
Ms. Caples. So this is always one that I like to ask. And I even ask it of myself sometimes, but let's go back. So what advice would you give your younger self? Maybe when you were in that first class of the community film workshop, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self?
Go get that MBA.
Expand. Tell us more.
I wanted to be in business for myself, and I asked a person, I said, well, what would you do? Because I was considering, I have a master's in social work, so I was considering going back to school to get an MBA. And he said, well, if you want to get an MBA, You want to work for somebody else, get an MBA. If you want to go into business, go into business. And I really think that getting the MBA would have helped me help JT more. Although I went to a lot of schools for arts administration, I served on a lot of boards. I think it would have focused me better. And I think I probably would have been able to do some consulting on the side and stuff. I would have had more money in my pocket. I would have had more, really having your own money and not being tied down to a bare bones budget. You have to have money to be able to create wealth and to help other people. And that's really key. And I think that's one thing that we miss in the Black community. We need to support more than liquor stores and the lottery. And we need to support our Black organizations. I'm just not pitching Community Film Workshop. I'm pitching all Black organizations. Just to think, if I had that $1 that goes into the lottery every day, there are so many programs that we could do. That's the one thing that we need. We need programs that are going to touch young lives and be able to have them funded so that we can reach people. Because we have a whole generation of young people out here that really need it. They need to have a safe place. They need to have someone around them that look like them. They have to have a vision. They have to be nurtured. And we can't do that on the street. We have to do that in an organization that has a roof over it, and heat and everything. So that means you have to have money. And so I think it's a small investment, but we need to invest in our future. We have to invest in our future. Now, everybody's not going to become a filmmaker, but we have people all over doing all kinds of things. And the important part about knowing about media is knowing the importance of the image, because people have such a bad image of Black people. And it's international, the lies that they tell about us. And so we have to correct those. And now the world is concerned and interested, especially about what's happening in Chicago. So we have an opportunity to change that image through the films that we do. Now, I'm so proud of all of the projects we've done on the South Side, the South Side Stories. And those are the kinds of stories that we need to investigate and put out there, and not always worry about what we're going to do in Hollywood and everything, because we now you don't have to go to Hollywood.
That's right.
Melanie, I'm looking forward to you having a big
That's right. But you're right.
Where everybody can be tuning in, to hear about their grandmothers. Most people don't understand the importance of the legacy that your mothers and your grandmothers give to you. I don't know. My grandmother and my aunts and older women around me poured a lot into me. And I have to admit that. I forgot about that when you really asked me, because I've had so many women in my life to give me advice and pour into me. In fact, one of my girlfriends told me, said, Margaret, you've been around too many old women. But because I shoot from the hip, That's the way they taught me. None of that fluff. Tell the truth and then guide me in the way I needed to go. And that's what we need. We need to respect our elders. We have to respect them. They've gone through things. They've done things. They know things that we don't know. And we need to adhere to what they're saying to us. And we need to honor the work that they've done. They didn't have our advantages, but they had so much mother wit and caring and the foresight to help you. And they understood. They didn't hold grudges because you made a mistake and all. They might beat your butt, but they didn't hold. But they disciplined. That's out right. Of love. They had to. It was best for them to discipline you rather than have these police putting you in jail for nothing. Just right. Because they're trying to get Black and brown kids in jail and breaking up our families. What the criminal justice system has done to our community is just devastating.
That's right.
Breaking up families is just genocide.
Yeah.
And let me get off of that. But those are the stories we need to tell.
That's right.
So that our kids can have hope.
That's right. And Miss Caples, and that's why, you are amazing. And I thought about you because you do remind me of the women that have sown into me. You are this nurturer. And that is why this episode is called Nurture. Because I think that's what, when I think about you and what you've done, that's what comes to mind for me. So we just have go ahead. I'm sorry. Don't you go it right.
Well, the thing is that most people don't see me as nurturing. They see me as being hard and difficult. But one of my teenagers said, well, Miss Caples, all right. She said, as long as you do your work, she'll let you have fun. But I am strict. We
know, and that's okay. Because you know what? I gotta say, it's the preparation, right? Because what I see through that is love. And that's why I think it's so important that we learn from instructors that look like us, that really care about us, because you're not just tough to be tough. You're tough because you're trying to prepare us for what is out there. And because of that, I can be organized and I can be prepared. And then when these doors are open to me, I'm going to be ready for those opportunities because I've already been trained and groomed and nurtured. And so, it comes across. And
the other thing is that I try to pair myself with artists that have a different slant. And our lead instructor, Derek Grace and Keisha Shavers, they really do have a milder side, a gentler side. And that's good because we have to have that also. They are competent, they're understanding, they're always looking for new things. And Derek just has really keeps putting new information into this curriculum and adding things. And I have to say this about the staff over at the U of C. They have also been very nurturing and open and, to the students. So it's been a collaboration and all of us coming together to do the right thing.
That's right. Well, we just have a couple of more questions. So stay with us out there, all of our viewers. This is a question that Oprah is one of my role models. I always say this, and I just think that she's an amazing interviewer and producer and entertainer and storyteller and preserver of our culture. And she always asks this question, and this is just sort of a life question. What is one thing that you know for certain? What's one thing that you know for certain?
Well, I'm a Christian, so I know for certain that I didn't get here on my own. And I know for certain that it's my faith in God and that has persevered and helped me. I know that I'm not alone. I have that assurance and I have that hope. And I can't talk about religion because of, regulations and all of that. But I do let my students know that I love them. And they said, well, you love? I said, yes, because you are my future. And I pray for you. And they were shocked that I would say that I pray for them. But I do. You have to pray for our city, our government officials, our teachers, everybody that comes in contact with us in our community, and the police. We have to pray. And I know for sure that that's what girded me and has protected me and that has helped me.
Wow, that's so
I know
powerful.
I know that.
Thank you. I got chills. So Ms. Caples, the title of this is Nurture. Because like, as I mentioned, that you have, through the work of continuing the legacy that you and your husband created and started and nurtured, you have really helped an upcoming generation, several generations of filmmakers pursue their dreams and aspirations. And so we have a surprise for you that we would like to, so you can just sit tight.
Okay.
I might turn off my camera, but we wanted to let you know about the impact that you have had on just so many people in this industry. And so we're going to get that queued up in a minute here.
Okay.
All right.
Margaret, congratulations on a lifetime of service. The organization that your late husband JT established and that you enhanced and elevated has made a powerful impact that is hard to measure and is far reaching. It's been a pleasure working with, for, and alongside you. I love, respect, and appreciate you as a person and for the work that you've done over the course of decades. Our Real Black Filmmakers organization has survived almost 10 years because of your support, because of the permanent home you supplied us with. Continue to provide a platform for untold stories and unheard and unrepresented voices. Again, I say, congratulations.
Ms. Caples, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done for me as a filmmaker, female filmmaker of color from the South Side communities of Chicago. And you are one of the first people who have seen me as a filmmaker. You're one of the first people who have affirmed that my story matters and that people want to hear my story and people want to know where I come from. They want to know my culture and my background and my history, and that there's a space for me on the table. There is a place for me here. So now that you've opened up a cinematic Pandora's box, we can no longer close it, but I don't want to close it, so that's not going to happen. But thank you again for what you've done for me and for other filmmakers of color over the years. And I know that you're going to continue supporting the next generation and the next generation for many, many years to come. And thank you for being a beacon of light for all of us who were often in the dark with our cinematic ambitions. So thank you.
Hi, Mrs. Caples. This is Kathleen, and I just wanted to thank you for everything that you've done for the African American filmmaking community in Chicago for 50 years, and for everything that you've done for me personally. I really appreciated all the input that you had into my project, Martin Luther King's Unsung Heroes in Chicago. And I also enjoyed the fun we used to have riding back and forth to the workshop on Saturday. So congratulations on everything you've accomplished. Appreciate you from the depths of my heart. I'm most grateful to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, Melanie. Devorah here. Congratulations on your show. It's amazing. I love hearing the sage wisdom from our grandmothers, and I wish you continued success. And thank you for this opportunity to yet again express our gratitude to Margaret Caples for 50 years of being in the trenches, being a trailblazer for creating opportunities for Black, brown, and other marginalized people who have been left out or denied access to the film industry. Margaret Caples, we love you, we appreciate you, we respect you for all that you and your husband have done and will continue to do. The best way we can honor you is to get the jobs, do the work, and send you the reel so you can pop some popcorn and say, yeah, those are my people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Caples, I hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you. I do. I love my cohorts.
That's right.
I love you all.
Before we close, we've got a couple questions from the audience. So the first question is from one of our viewers, Miss Felicia Kaplan, who wants to know, what is Kartemquin Films? What kind of films do they make?
Okay, Kartemquin Film is a social documentary house. They've been making films about social issue documentaries all the time. The partnership that I have with them started about in 2013. So over that period of time, we had 100 fellows, and they are from the Midwest, most of them from Chicago, but it's from the Midwest. And so they're all people of color, and they've won numerous awards. But what happens is they come in and we have workshops on ethics, marketing, story development, writing proposals, editing, directing, So, and they do pitches. They come in, and one of the things is, this is why I focus so much on our group, on telling your log line and your treatment, and being secure in what your story is and what it's about.
Right.
So we will be sending out the announcements. Well, they're already up, and I have to put it on the website that the application is open. So we have some new guidelines because now we're looking to support longer issue documentaries of an hour or longer. And the focus is going to be a little bit more and very intense because that was a lot of the feedback that we got from the people that we interviewed over this year. But in addition to that, there are just so many support that Kartemquin has had in terms of internships, labs, and other things that any filmmakers can come in and watch. And I want to say something about the real Black filmmakers that Derek mentioned.
Yes.
They needed a place to meet, and I said, okay, you can come to the workshop. Well, I didn't know it was going to last for 7 years. But it's been a blessing, and so they've been meeting and having meetings and screening. A lot of people have done their rough cuts. We premiered a lot of films, first-time films for filmmakers of color, and we've had a lot of workshops and discussions. And that was another place where filmmakers of color could come and share their skills, and plus they work together on projects. So that was one of the partnerships that I developed. You know, they didn't have any place to go. I had a place.
That's
and
right.
So now they are part of the Community Film Workshop and a program of the workshop. So I'm glad that Derek did mention it. And I love Derek.
Yes.
I love everybody I work for.
That's right.
They're just wonderful people.
That's, I think that's fantastic. And sometimes it's even just that, when you can offer a space. There's so many different ways that people can support artists and support artists' work that aren't even necessarily financial, but by supporting the work, by watching the work, sharing it, promoting it, giving us a space to screen. All of those things are important. We've got a comment here in the chat. So we got a couple more questions, and then we're almost at our time. This has been amazing. Okay. Time flies when you're having fun. So were there any physical or legal restrictions on filming in Chicago that you're familiar with? I guess that's back in the day, if you were trying to make a movie in Chicago, were there like legal restrictions or anything that you had to go through?
Well, we didn't. The restrictions was that Mayor Daley didn't want people shooting films in Chicago because of the reputation that Chicago had, and he didn't want it to be portrayed in a certain manner. So he was really the biggest opponent of films being shot here. There were things, Sam Greenlee had a hard time shooting Spook Who Sat by the Door, and they had to shoot most of it in Gary. They were able to do a scene at 63rd and Cottage Grove at the L station, but a lot of it was shot. So I think a lot of those restrictions have been lifted because Chicago has been, the film office, both the city and the state film office has been very encouraging for people to shoot here. And like I said, the new state's tax has helped fuel the film industry. And plus we have some good shows that are here, and people have developed production places. So it's a different environment now.
Yeah.
Although they still don't do much shooting on the South Side. And one of the things that was said is that because of the companies will not insure the shoots on the South Side because of the violence, and it's a fact, and they have to, every day find out what's going on the South Side. So most of the shooting is done on the North Side.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Sam Greenlee is somebody that The Spook Who Sat by the Door remains one of my favorite books, and the movie, I remember seeing that film. And so thanks for that, gem there, because I didn't know it was shot in Gary. We've got another comment I just want to read out. Ms. Caples brings to mind what Chicago photographer A.W. Willis did, along with Russell Sugarman and Ernest Withers did with the photographs of Emmett Till out of Mississippi, enabling Emmett's mother to get the body back to Illinois. So I think that's a powerful comment just about how it's important in terms of getting these photographs out, telling our stories, how these things have had impacts, that have really mattered to our community specifically. So thank you for that comment. Ms. Caples, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was so much fun, and you are a natural. So thank you.
Well, no, I just want to thank you, Melanie, and all of the cohorts. Because I have to say that I really loved working with you. And each group is different. But like I said, you all have a special place in my heart because you are really did a really great job. And so we're looking forward to the next group. I think we'll probably start in January with our outreach for the Production Institute for 2022. So people stay tuned. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. And you know what? Can people support? We want people to support the Community Film Workshop. And so please, if you're out there, be sure to look up the Community Film Workshop of Chicago and donate. See how you can support. I'm just going to write Community Film Workshop of Chicago.
And in 2022, we will be having a lot of outreach programs. We plan a lot of what do they call it? But anyway, we're having a lot of screenings and panel discussions of vintage films and meetups, industry meetups all over town, so that people can understand our work and get together and meet other filmmakers. And that's our whole plan, is to develop community. That's what's important, because you need a crew.
That's right. You need your community.
Yes,
so
you do.
Before we leave, there are a couple more people that we want to thank. First of all, thank you everyone for tuning in. This was our 8th month of Pearls and Pocketbooks, and it just means so much to me to be able to bring these stories to you. I want to thank Jay Garrison, P. Nesbitt, and K. Brezill for your donations. Thank you to our amazing engineer for this evening's broadcast, A. Hester. Thank you so much. You did an amazing job filling in for Henrique Lazari. Alexis Hester, thank you so much for your expertise. You kept things going so smoothly. And thank you to all my amazing DSI cohort members for your lovely tributes. Shouts out to Derek Grace and all of you all that submitted tributes. Be sure, if you're out there, to go to www.grandmotherprojectseries.com. You can donate there to help us to continue to bring these stories to you. Stay tuned. We have a special message on how you can help. And until then, we will see you next time on the next Pearls and Pocketbooks. Thank you so much again, Ms. Caples.
Thank you.
All of you. Thank you. Be well. And remember that our stories are worthy. Bye-bye. Stay tuned. All right.
Supporting the Grandmother Project is easy. Simply go to www.grandmotherprojectseries.com and click Donate. You'll be directed to our PayPal page, where you can enter an amount to help support the creation of new episodes and content. Be sure to like and subscribe to our page on YouTube and follow us on social media. See you next month on the next Pearls and Pocketbooks.